Hey Lapita, how's it going?
Chasing away the darkness, clothing the unknown.
Lapita, have you done anything fun at all today? Hey Brooke, how are you doing, Brooke?
Ooh, you're always there in the night. Ooh, you're always there by my side. Ooh, you're always there in the night.
Yeah, it is a rough day.
You're always there.
Yeah, I am feeling the roughness of today, Brooke, for sure. What's up, Jordan?
You shine on me.
So we're just gonna wait to see if anyone else jumps in or however. And we got some music going. This song is by Sister Brother and it's called Shine. I really like it. Hi, Katie. Are you holding up, Katie? Hey, thanks, Jordan. I definitely don't always believe that about myself. So when you're like always encouraging, and that's really great. Katie, I feel like I'm doing the same. I'm okay. Hi, Jessica. Man, Jessica, how are you doing? Jessica, you should be doing this, not me. You're better. Well, you have a gift for sure when it comes to sharing about Jesus. Okay. So we are gonna get started. I do want to talk just a little bit. I think the only person from the area that I used to work in Young Life and live in down in South Orange County that's in this right now is Brooke. And I'm definitely going to be emotional. So, sorry about that. Well, I'm not really sorry, but sorry if you have to watch me kind of like ugly cry. I cry a lot, and if you know me, you know that. Like, the leaders in the area in California I was a part of gave me a tissue box with a lot of their names on it and stuff as a going away present when I left because I cry a lot. Anyways, but today is a hard day. Partly because I think, dang. It's been a year since my friend Zach died. And, Zach was one of our Young Life kids. And he was awesome. And Brooke, who's in this watching right now, her and Zach were really close and really good friends. And Brooke, I think you're the one that told me that he passed away a year ago today. And I I think I think that's part of why I'm down today. Hey Heath, buddy, we're doing something. Heath's in here, always perfect timing in his Ninja Bear cat headlight thing. Headband, okay, yeah, buddy. But yeah, so anyways, it's rough because also in Young Life we're praying, we're doing this Psalm 91 for 91 days, and for a whole lot of us have experienced praying a lot for people who are sick and not experiencing them getting better. And Zach is someone who myself and a whole lot of people were praying for a very long time, and he didn't get better. And so sometimes I struggle with my faith in that kind of like I don't think I struggle that God's good ever, but like the whole idea that he's I don't know, Psalm 91 is like a sort of like, hey, you're not gonna, if you make the Lord your refuge, you're not gonna be hurt kind of prayer. And I just, like, I've known a lot of people who have made the Lord their refuge who have been hurt and who are not around. But then I go back to like Jesus in the boat with the disciples in the storm and realizing like, oh, with Jesus, like nothing can actually hurt us. Yeah, we're all gonna die. Some of us sooner than later, and the people that get left behind that's who it's like really hard for. Hey Alicia, how's it going? Like so it's gonna happen to all of us, but and the people who get left behind, it's hard for because they don't like I don't get to hang out with my friend Zach anymore. And his parents don't have their son anymore. And Brooke doesn't have her close friend, and that just sucks. Like that really sucks. Death sucks. It just does. And with I think it's like right now it just feels like there's so much other stuff going on in the world and a lot of uncertainty and chaos, and we're all kind of trapped inside and alone. And yeah, anyways, I'm having a rough day. There's also this coronavirus stuff. Like at first it was fun because for those of us in Young Life and stuff, we were having to get pretty innovative and try new things. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for coronavirus, which is kind of cool. But I miss people. Like I miss getting to hang out with our Young Life crew here, and I miss getting to hang out with my friends at church, and I miss like I went to Redmond High School today to pray, and it was empty, like not one car in the parking lot. And I miss going to the high schools and like walking around and just saying hi and meeting new people. And which is funny because I'm an introvert, like I'm a hardcore introvert, and so there's a part of me that's like I don't have a problem being alone, but then also there's this part of me that's like really like I just really want to get in people's lives in the name of Jesus, and I miss parts of that. So anyways, I just always want to be honest. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know I'm normally maybe a little bit too honest, but today's a day where I'm kind of struggling, and I've had better days, and I'm just kind of irritated and irritable probably and emotional. I was just like and I miss my friend Zach, and I miss my friend all like yeah, I'm just a little bit down today, but that's okay. I was talking with someone else earlier, and we're gonna jump into Luke soon, but like I think it's super important in our relationships with Jesus and our relationship with God, which is the same, but you know, I think it's really important to be honest with ourselves and with God about how we're feeling emotionally. And that's not always like talked about a ton. Conron, Lily, what's up? Conron, dude, I miss you, man. I hope you are doing well. Sorry that your freshman year got cut short. But anyways, so talking about emotions and where you're at, and I was talking with this friend of mine, and they're going through some hard stuff right now and feeling probably a lot of what we consider like dark emotions, probably a lot of anger and sadness, and was just encouraging her to express those to God, like however that could look. And I've talked a lot about, hey Carmen, yeah, everyone's pretty well. We're all just kind of getting a little bit of cabin fevery, and I'm a little bit emotional today. I think it's a lot to do with Zach, but anyways, yeah, the importance of being emotionally honest with God, and not stuffing stuff. And even like, so with this person, the situation, they're feeling angry and sad, not because of something that God's doing, like overtly, but because of other stuff in their life. And as I was praying for them, I felt like God was was like, hey, why don't you just have them be super honest with me? And so I just kind of want to just briefly mention, like, hey, if you guys are feeling any sorts of emotions, or maybe you're not like an overtly emotional person, and so you have a habit of stuffing and repressing all that stuff, like, that's not gonna work. Even like, I know some people who seem to be like just an emotional flatline almost all the time. We're humans, and so we all have an emotional element to us. Like, none of us are completely emotionless. Some of us might be better about stuffing them. Some of us might not feel as deeply, whatever. But emotional honesty with God, I think, is incredibly important. I think it deepens our intimacy with Him, but also just as a human being who has emotions, it is vital that we have safe people that we can share those emotions with. And God is as safe as it gets. And so I just encourage you guys to maybe even like make like a prayer habit of this, or a whatever, and emotionally express how you're feeling to God. And so if you're pissed off, if you're like, today I've been doing this a lot because I'm angry today, and just being angry with God, like, and honestly, for me, a lot of times that can turn into being angry at God. There's been a lot of times in my prayer life where I've used some bad words. And well, if you know me, you know I use a lot of bad words anyways. But like, use bad words in prayer to God. Where I've like literally kind of had my middle finger up in the air, directed toward Him. And yeah, that might be, well, yeah, it's like disrespectful to a degree, but it's also super disrespectful to hide from people. And so, God, like, I just want to encourage you, God's big enough, like, He can handle all of your stuff emotionally, and it's incredibly therapeutic to do that in prayer with God. Like, He will love you through it. And so for us to experience someone actually loving us in our stuff, I wanted to say a bad word, but I don't know who else. Maybe there's little kids around and you don't want them to hear. Anyways, for us to understand that God can love us in our crap, and in our anger, and in our fury, and in our rage, and that we actually can express that to Him in a vulgar, honest, raw, and real way, and have Him like sit there and take it. Like, that's a really, like, that's a healthy thing to do. God can, and He will take it. He's big enough, and He's not scared of the crap and the anger and the sadness and the raw, honest emotions that you have. He knows about them already because He knows you completely. And so He knows that you're feeling that way. And a lot of us do not have someone in our life that we can really express that to. Most of us, like, when I'm super angry at Candace, and like, I love her, there's no one person on the planet that I love more than Candace. But there are times, like there was a time today where I was just angry at her. I can't go to her and be like, F you, I can't stand, blah, blah, blah. That would not be a healthy marital relationship. for me to pop off on her like that. But I can pop off on God like that, and He will sit there and just absorb it and take it and love me through it. You can like do that with God, and He'll hang out with you through it. So don't feel like you need to be on your best behavior with God. And for real, please, like, don't hide emotionally in prayer. Like, don't try to pray as if everything's okay when everything, it just feels like it's falling apart. Express that to Him. And if you're angry, if you're just angry, and even if you're angry, if you're angry at other people because they feel like they're just putting you down all the time, like, express that anger to God. There's like, I'm just gonna read the end of, if I can find it, one of my favorite psalms. Let me see. Watch, I'm not gonna find it. Oh no, Psalm 139. It's a psalm about how God knows you and He loves you. Here, I'm just gonna read a part of it real fast. So it starts with like, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit up and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down. You are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether." Then he goes on to say about how you formed me. This is verse 13 now, Psalm 139, verse 13. "You formed me in my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well." So he's talking about how, like, he's created. What's up, Jimena and Carlos and Aaron? How you guys doing? He's talking about how, like, God knows him, how he trusts that he's like wonderfully made because God created him on purpose. And then verse 19, this psalm takes like a dark turn. He says, "Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God. O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against you with malicious intent. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with a complete hatred. I count them my enemies." So even in this like lovey-dovey, super lovey-dovey psalm, it gets dark and angry. David starts expressing his anger to God. I mean, in some of these psalms, David like literally talks about killing people and that God would just destroy people. David is angry so often to God. Then he ends this one with, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts." So this like, hey, like, come in and just know everything I'm feeling with. And then he ends with, "And see if there is any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." So it comes kind of full circle. Pablo, what's up, my man? How are you? Oh, I miss you. Anyways, it's important, guys. There's a psalm. Let me just sorry, I'm going off on tangent. What we're going to look at in Luke is super short. This will be the last little part. There's a psalm called Psalm 188, or Psalm 88, and it is dark, dude. And so these psalms were like, this was like a choir song. It says Psalm 88 is a psalm of the sons of Korah to the choir master according to a name I can't pronounce, a maskil of Heman the Israelite. So this was like a song that they sang. The last verse in this psalm is 18. I encourage you guys, read Psalm 88 if you want to just like express your bummed outedness to God. What's up, Daniel? Danny, how you doing, man? I'm praying for you guys a lot because of just health stuff and hoping that you guys can get through this situation well. Anyways, Psalm 88:18. The psalm ends with, "You have caused my beloved and my friend to shun me. My companions have become darkness." So, like, done. That's the end. There's no red bow on that one. And sometimes our lives don't feel like there's a red bow, and sometimes our emotions don't feel like a red bow, and sometimes the end of our prayers with God could just be a middle finger. And God's big enough to take it, and He can handle all of like our good and bad emotions and everything in the middle. So I'm just sorry. I'm encouraging you guys to be emotionally honest with God. It is good, and He will meet you there and begin to really transform you like it's just important for us to be able to sit in our shit with somebody else, and being able to sit in your shit with God is good, because God's like awesome and he can begin to clean off some of that stuff. Sometimes he takes his time, which is fine. But he can begin to sit with you and clean you up while you're just miserable and sitting there with him. He's big enough. Okay, anyways, that was a long tangent because I'm just in some shit today and not feeling like, honestly, like this is kind of hard for me because I'm just, it's one of those days where I'm irritable and irritated and I miss Zach a lot. Sorry, I cry every time I think about him today. And I think about him almost every day. And my kids talk about him a lot. But yeah, I miss him and I'm pissed. And I don't know why God's doing this. And here in Redmond Young Life, I felt like, man, we were just freaking beginning to get a ton of momentum and things are happening. And then coronavirus. And so I'm like, God, what the hell? What are you doing? And I'm irritable. And God's big enough to take that. And it's not a lack of faith, I don't think. It's just honest. It's just honesty. We're finite human beings with a very limited amount of knowledge, and I can only see what's right in front of me. And right now, that seems like, what the hell? What's going on? Hey, Meg and Spencer, how are you guys doing? Anyways, that'll probably be the last time I cry and on this today, hopefully. But I'm not gonna make any promises. We're going to move on. Okay, we're going to go into Luke chapter 3. We're on the last part. So this last part of Luke, we're really kind of ending the prologue. This was almost like Luke spends the first 3 chapters just setting the stage. Again, we're going through, we got 2 pregnancies that are pretty surprising. One with Elizabeth and Zechariah, who were like, probably shouldn't have a baby. They're super old. And God gives them a baby, and he turns out to be John the Baptist. Other is Mary. Sorry, I don't want to flip you guys off. Mary, who was a virgin, teenager, engaged, just a normal girl. God shows up and is like, yo, I'm going to impregnate you, essentially. And this baby is going to be the savior of the world. Both of these are surprising, both of these are unexpected, and both of these are wonderful. But Mary then is like, Luke focuses a ton on Mary, and Mary there's no way like that 9 months was an easy time for Mary. There's no way that the next rest of her life into some degree was easy for her. Because no one probably really understood what was going on. She probably got ridiculed and worse. And so she's just kind of experienced alone. But God shows up through different people and begins to comfort her in that. We're brought to there's a ton of tension with Rome and the Jewish people kind of under Roman regulation and government. And anyway, so Luke is just setting the stage. He's also beginning to put the undercurrents of what's going to be throughout the rest of his book, some of the stuff that he really feels like Jesus is about, and that is that Jesus is for the poor, and poor in we got to understand. Poor wasn't like a financial situation for people during this time. Poor would also mean outcasts. So like a tax collector would be considered by Jews to be poor, even though most of them were actually pretty rich. But they were considered poor because they were like not part of the way things should be. And so they were like on purpose kind of moving away from God. And so this idea is, Luke has this idea that Jesus is just for the outcasts, for the people on the fringes, for the people left behind, for the people who feels like life is just taking a big fat dump on their face, that Jesus is for those people. Luke literally sort of turns the tables of like the way society and everything worked back then. And so he's beginning to show us that here, especially with John the Baptist and the stuff John the Baptist said in the beginning of Luke chapter 3. Luke ends with the genealogy of Jesus. Now, genealogies are something that we don't really do a ton in this, like in our culture. I know it's becoming kind of popular with like all the different online stuff. And when I was doing one of the trainings in Young Life, I had to do a genogram, which you kind of trace back family history, and all this stuff's super important and it can be really revealing to you. But here's the things one thing that was disturbing that I don't know, like I hadn't realized, is that there's another genealogy of Jesus in the New Testament, and that's in Matthew. And Matthew's genealogy of Jesus and Luke's genealogy of Jesus are totally different. So like they're all the same from this guy Abraham to King David, and then after that they are super different, which was like shocking to me. There are when people are like, oh, the Bible contradicts itself, and a lot of Christians are like, no, it doesn't. Well, like there are some parts of the Bible where you're like, this is hard to, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I don't understand this, and so I don't think the Bible contradicts itself at all. But I understand people who might think that because of stuff like this. But here, like, so there's like basically the best answer I could find as to why the genealogies are different is because Luke traces like Joseph and Matthew traces Mary's genealogy back, or it's something like that. Anyways, just look it up on the internet. You can find something good about it. But they're both different. That doesn't mean either of them are wrong. It's just like you got two genealogies because you got two sets of two parents, and like you travel, one's gonna have different people than the other. So, anyways, here's the cool thing about the genealogy in Luke, is that this is how we'll just start reading. It's Luke 3:23. Jesus, when he began his ministry, was about 30 years of age. So Jesus is about 30 years old when he starts to become a big deal. Being the son, parentheses, as was supposed, or as most people thought, depending on what translation you have, it might be different, of Joseph. And so I just love that. Like Luke is sort of like, hey, here's a genealogy, because back then genealogies were important. Here's what most people thought Jesus' genealogy is, but Luke's like letting us in that that's not the case because we know better. We know that Joseph is Jesus's like adopted earth father, but God is Jesus' father. So Jesus is directly related to God. But then, so he goes on and he starts saying, I don't like, guys, I'm just not gonna lie, I'm not gonna read all this because a lot of names that I don't know how to pronounce. So he goes on to say, being the son, as was supposed, of Joseph, the son of Heli, the son of Mathat, and then through a whole lot of names, and he gets to the son of Nathan, the son of David. That's King David. So King David was if you don't know about this, King David was one of he was Israel's second king. He was Israel's best king. And so everyone thought David was the best. Like he became he became a big deal because God ended up telling David, like, hey, you will be on the throne in Israel forever. Like from your offspring, you will have a king on the throne of Israel for forever. And so everyone's like, the Messiah, this king that Israel's waiting for, the one chosen by God, the Christ, the Messiah, is coming from the line of David. And this shows Jesus, no matter which way you go, Mary or Joseph, like it goes to David. Both Luke and Matthew go to David. And the other cool thing is David was like awesome. God called David a man after his own heart. A lot of the Psalms are from David. David was an awesome man and an awesome king, but also he was awesomely screwed up and made some huge mistakes, including seeing his neighbor's wife naked and saying like, I want that, and going and getting that and sleeping with her, getting her pregnant, and then trying to cover it up. When he realizes he can't cover it up, he kills her husband and then marries her. Just so you know, like there is no one in the Bible aside from Jesus who doesn't have some major character flaws and major F-ups. And so I'm just going to assume most of us, if you know it, like I have some major F-ups in my life, and that does not discount me from God using me. God can use anyone, and there's no one in the Bible who's truly heroic. Also, like, really, sometimes the Bible can be taught as like, hey, there's all these stories and we need to emulate these people. Like, that's not really the point. The point of the Bible is to show us who God is and how God is working in our midst and what it's like to follow and trust him. But there's no characters that aren't like jacked up. Anyways, there's no true heroes in the Bible aside from Jesus. But so we got David, then it goes on David was the son of Jesse, the son of Obed, the son of Boaz, the son, and goes on and on and on to Abraham. Abraham was like the first, like, it all started with Abraham. Like, the nation of Israel started with Abraham. Abraham was just some dude that got picked out of obscurity, showed up to Abraham and was like, hey, I'm going to make a great nation out of you. Abraham, remember, was also like Elizabeth and Zechariah, where Abraham and Sarah were old and had no kids, and eventually ended up having a son named Isaac in there when they were very old. And God kept his promise to them, even though it didn't look like it. So we go all the way back to Abraham. Also, remember yesterday, John the Baptist was like, I don't care if you're a son of Abraham, God can make sons of Abraham out of rocks. Like, that's Abraham. Anyways, then, so Matthew stops there because the Gospel of Matthew is written by a Jew for Jews. And there, Matthew is highlighting Jesus' Jewishness, that Jesus is a Jew from the line of David, and traces his lineage back to Abraham and stops. Luke goes further. So we go Abraham, the son of Terah, the son of Nahor, the son of, like, blah, 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 back. We go through Noah. We have the son of Shem, the son of Noah, the son of Lamech, and then goes all the way back to the son of Enos, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God. Starts with Luke telling, like, hey, Jesus is the son of God, ends with Jesus is the son of God. And in that, all of us are connected to Jesus. So all of us are a part, like Luke takes it all the way back to Adam to show this is for every person on the planet. Like, it started with Adam. Also, Luke is hinting that Jesus is starting a new humanity. So what we're going to see here is Adam. We all know the story of Adam and Eve. They were the first people on the planet. They knew God intimately. They literally walked around this Garden of Eden with God. Like they had that kind of relationship. And God let them kind of do whatever they wanted, except for there was that tree that they weren't supposed to eat of because it would give them the knowledge of good and evil. Essentially, God's just saying, like, trust me. Like, look at all this great stuff I've given you. Just trust me. I'm going to care for you. I'm going to love you. Also, I love the Bible Project says, they word it in this way where God was just asking them to trust him with the definition of what right and wrong is. And by them taking the fruit, they wanted to determine what right and wrong was on their own terms. And that just led to the destruction of everything good really. Like they did that. And they didn't trust God. And they wanted to do things on their own terms. And the rest of humanity just kind of got caught in this downward tailspin. Luke is setting the stage where Jesus is a new humanity, like a new Adam. Paul will go on and, like, say this a lot too, but, like, Jesus is a new Adam and he doesn't F it up. Like, he actually trusts God through some hard stuff. He's obedient to God even to the point of dying on the cross. Like, Jesus fully trusts God, and in that shows us what it's like to be a full, real human, the way humans were supposed to be. A lot of us think that in order to become a Jesus follower, we have to deny our true humanity. That is just not true at all. Jesus actually shows us what it's like to be fully and truly human. To be fully and truly human is to have a relationship with God, the one who created us. To be fully and truly human is to trust him and live in the freedom of trusting God. And that is actual freedom. To not be human is to be compulsive and ruled by our instincts and ruled by whatever our desires are, and to be ruled by just, like, our impulses. That is not human. That's animal. That's way more animalistic. And so this, like so much of what I see being called real humanity is just much more like an animal. And so Jesus is going to show us what it's like to be truly human. And so just hold on to that. He's going to start right away. Tomorrow we're going straight into Jesus' temptation in the wilderness, which is really Satan attacking him and tempting him in the same way he did Adam and Eve. And Jesus just, like, pushes through it and trusts God and doesn't waver and, like, wins a huge victory there. But anyways, you guys, that's like the thing. I just want you guys to all remember, A, you are connected to Jesus, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in him or not. B, he will always love you. God will always love you. Whatever your emotions are, whatever your stance is, whatever you believe about him, he's real. He doesn't need your belief in order to exist. And God loves you and will never stop. And he can handle all your emotions. And 3 is that Jesus is showing us what it's like to be truly human. That's like sometimes I think people just think Jesus, the whole point of studying Jesus or like the Gospels is that he died on the cross for my sins. Yeah, that's true. But like the main thing is that Jesus is showing us what it's like to be human, what it's like to be truly human and experience a true and real life. And he's leading the way. He's like leading us, and he's asking us, like he keeps saying, pick up your cross and follow me. Like, we're following him in that same kind of trust that he had for God. And he died for us in that, like, like God knows we're going to fail. We're not going to be able to make it perfectly. So Jesus did that, and we get to follow him, and his sacrifice covers us in that way. But that's the point, is that like true life is found in a relationship with God and in trusting him. So that's what I got today on this Tuesday during coronavirus, and we're all stuck at home. Does anyone else have any other ideas? There's some, if Jessica and Daniel Becquet and other people, and if I'm like cutting you short, I'm sorry, but I know there's some people who know a whole lot and are probably a lot smarter than me. If you guys have any insights on this, feel free to leave a comment, or even like jump on and ask to become a part of this. I think we can do a split screen thing. And let me know if this hits any of you guys, if anything I said today, if you guys have any comments or questions, or like, Luke, I don't know about you saying that I can cuss at God. Like, that sounds weird. Can you explain that more? Like, leave a comment and I'll answer any questions that I can. And if I can't answer the question, I'll tell you I don't know. But yeah. And if not, that's fine too. We can be done here. Because I don't want to go too long, and it's already been like almost 40 minutes, which is way longer. I would like for these things to end up being like only 20 minutes, but I can't seem to stop talking, so I'm sorry if I just talk too much. Okay. All right. I'm going to pray. And if you want to pray with me. I'm going to do like a little prayer exercise. So anyway, just go ahead and get comfortable wherever you're sitting right now. What's up, Grace? How you doing? Long time no see. Like, really long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Anyways, just, yeah, get comfortable. So wherever you're sitting, just kind of get comfortable. If you need to like stretch out or whatever. And go ahead, and I invite you to close your eyes. This might seem weird because you're staring at a phone probably, but hopefully you can still hear me. Just go ahead and close your eyes. And begin to take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. So just breathe in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And begin to let your body just sort of settle. And now, as you're settling, just see where you're at emotionally, physically, like spiritually. Like, where are you right now? What are you feeling? Is there any tension in your body? What is that thing that is distracting you from being here right now? If you have some emotions or something comes up that is anger or sadness or anything, just be with that and give it to God. Don't be afraid of it. God's not afraid of it. He knows where you're at. He knows that you're experiencing that. If you're afraid, if this time right now has you afraid for the future, don't pretend that you're not. You can run to your dad's arms and be afraid, your dad being God. You can run into dad's arms and be afraid, and he will hold you and comfort you. If you're angry or sad, you can do the same thing. He already knows. What does he look like? What does God look like when he looks at you? If you can imagine yourself being held by God, what does that feel like? And now what do you have to say to him? Lord, thank you for loving us and knowing us completely. Both completely. You love us completely and you know us completely. Lord, thank you for being big enough to handle all of us. Would we trust you more? God, would we begin to trust that you are the key to life? That the purpose of life is to be in union with you, in a trusting relationship with you. That is what it is to be human. God, would you help us trust you more and more? In your name we pray. Amen. All right. You guys are awesome. I'll hang out a bit if anyone wants to chat about anything. If not, we're done. And you guys are awesome. I love you. I'm glad that I get to do this with you. For those of us from South Orange County who are mourning our friend Zach today, I'm with you. This has been a really hard day for me too. And I miss him. But I also know Jesus loves him. And like he is knowing that he's getting to really experience the fullness of life right now and the fullness of God and what it is to be in God's arms. Zach's getting to experience that. And how awesome that we got to be a part of his life. And hopefully how we got to show the love of Jesus to him. But anyways, yeah, I'll stick around for just a minute if no one says anything. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
I never saw it coming. There was no way to prepare. The world kept spinning around me and left me standing there. And it's okay to grieve a life that could not be. I'm trying to believe in something better, even if the dreams
All right.
that I turned into
Bye.
dust. There's no wreckage that's too